Hello, welcome to the show, our Black to Black talk show. I have Miss Adrienne here with me with Wise Choice Consultant and is it consulting and coaching and consulting services? Is that right?
Counseling and consulting services.
Counseling and consult. Okay, I said it wrong. Forgive me. Well, just to can you introduce yourself?
Yes, Ms. Tina. So I'm Adrienne Wise. Hello, everybody. I'm a licensed professional counselor and a certified clinical trauma professional here in the DMV area. So I have a background in mental health as well as I work in workplaces where I basically help heal toxic workplace environments. And so I'm here from the DMV area and just so happy to be on your show today. And I appreciate you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm happy to have you. So, can you explain to us about what all you do in your business, like what services you offer and anything that you can share with the audience?
Sure, sure. So actually, later this year, I will be hiring for the counseling side of my business. We'll be offering mental health counseling services to children as young as 2 years old and up. We will work with the entire lifespan. I know it's hard to find child clinicians out there, so I'm preaching it out there right now, so everybody hear me. So
Yes.
I will certainly be putting out announcements about that when we'll be up and rolling on that. And then on the consulting side of Wise Choice Counseling and Consulting Services, what I do a couple of different things. One of them, the main thing is that I work in workplaces where I help heal trauma, basically within workplaces. And that comes into play in a couple of different ways. Sometimes you have people that are coming in with their own personal struggles that are coming into workplace environments, and workplace environments feel toxic. Sometimes they feel unheard. There's just poor relationships with leaders and their staff that they supervise. And what I do is I come in with this trauma informed lens and just help people figure out how we can work better together so we can still meet the bottom line at the end of the day. So it's a really interesting sort of approach that I take on things, just fusing both my background in mental health as well as my background in being in leadership myself for a number of years and fusing those two worlds together. But then I'm also an international keynote speaker. And I do trainings and workshops and a facilitator of many sorts all the time. But again, everything I do is with the premise of improving emotional well-being. Everything is about improving someone's emotional well-being. Yeah.
Okay. So, what made you decide to get into the field that you're in now, counseling
And consulting.
mhm.
Yeah. So in the counseling field, I probably wouldn't be the first to tell you that a lot of times when people have experienced things in their own personal lives, usually, depending on what that experience was, whether it was positive or it wasn't positive, people will usually run from that, right? Run far away from that. That's not going to be the field that I'll ever work in, right?
Mhm.
But for whatever reason, I ran smack into the field of mental health because mental health was definitely prevalent within my family, on both sides of my family. And, I think for a lot of people, unfortunately, not diagnosed, meaning
Yeah.
that even though they knew that there were challenges, they were avoiding those challenges like the plague, at least admitting that there was a problem. And for whatever reason, I just came into this just wanting to sort of reduce the stigma around it. Because I think what I recognized was that, which was I was experiencing in my own family, is that how people viewed people with mental health issues is that they're crazy,
Yeah.
don't want to be bothered with, don't have any trust. And I just saw kind of what that was doing. And I wanted to come into this really sort of changing that narrative and figuring out a way of how we can help people, and especially people of color. I am a
Color.
person of color.
Yeah.
And I cannot ignore the fact that despite the work that we've been doing in this world and despite the efforts that have been made in helping people of color understand that it's okay to get help.
Mhm.
That was something I definitely sort of was very passionate about, and making sure that as I reduce stigma in mental health as a whole, encouraging people of color that it is okay to seek professional help and that you're not crazy. Everybody's got things that they struggle with and that they go through, and it's better for you to be on the prevention end than waiting until things get worse. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. And then on the side for consulting, what made you decide to do the consulting part? Add that into it.
Yeah, so I was, a director for the last 15 plus years. And I can't say that, I was always the perfect director. I was not. I was not the perfect supervisor.
Hmm.
But I learned throughout the years, I think just kind of being involved in having a lot of different experiences. And I had a lot of unique experiences that I had in my employment. I feel like they were unique to me because these weren't things that I'd ever heard about.
Yeah.
And I just kind of grew into sort of learning how to appropriately deal and function with people, and you can still meet the bottom line at the end of the day, right? How do
Yeah.
you have a staff and a team full of people coming to work every day but got real issues?
Yeah.
And how you can't just say, well, look, you got to check your little personal stuff at the door. We got things to do. It's not so simple, right?
Hmm.
And so I started studying and doing a lot of research on trauma informed care. And I had the pleasure of having my company, who I was working with at the time, receive a scholarship through the National Council of Now Well-being. They changed their name. And they coached us on what it meant to have a trauma informed care work environment. And as soon as we went through that 8-month process, I'm telling
Hmm.
you, it's something like a light bulb went off
Yeah.
and it just clicked for me. And I was like, this is exactly what I need to be doing. And my
Yeah.
work as a counselor, dealing with trauma all the time, and then being in workplace environments with people experiencing trauma,
Hmm.
it was just perfect to put those two worlds together.
Okay. And
Mhm.
your wise choice, the name, I like your name of your business. So what is the name meaning for your name for your business? Wise choice.
Well, it is my last name. I say my new last name. My last name. I meant to say it's my married name,
Yeah.
but it is my last name, and so it is a play on that.
Yeah.
But I do believe that selecting Wise Choice Counseling and Consulting Services, you will be making a wise choice for sure. Because you're getting somebody who's very passionate and very hands-on and very much involved in this process. I can't say that one day I won't have a team full of people and maybe there'll be some things that I won't be able to do. But right now, you're getting me. You
Yeah.
call the number to talk to somebody, it's me. When you send
Yeah.
an email, it's me. And when you send a chat, it's me. So
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't have any VA or anybody kind of handling my back office for me at this point. And so you'd be making a wise choice and being able to have that sort of personal connection with someone because usually in businesses, it's kind of hard to reach the CEO and
Yeah.
you reaching me directly. So
Directly. Yes,
yeah.
that's good. So what the services that you offer, like if they was looking for what do you offer?
Yeah, so if for counseling services, when I'm going to be starting that again later on this year, I'll send out plenty of announcements about it. We will be working with the entire lifespan, and so we'll be working with children as young as 2 years old, all the way up to 99 plus adulthood wise. We'll definitely be specializing in, I would say, typical issues such as depression, trauma, anxiety. We'll be working with individuals, but we'll also be working with couples and families and doing family counseling. And a lot of my background, honestly, Tina, is in family work
No.
and yeah, family work and working with kids. And so I'm very passionate about that. So I'll be bringing that to my practice. And then on the consulting side, if you all are leaders or managers yourself, and or you're working in workplaces that could benefit from someone sort of changing and transforming that workplace culture and you don't feel like it's in a healthy state, that would be definitely giving me a call. And I definitely talk to managers all the time. This is what I do almost every day. I'm talking to
Yeah.
somebody about what's going on in the workplace,
Hmm.
everything from, everybody's taking off all the time. The productivity is just not where it used to be. There's lack of employee engagement. And I wouldn't say that trauma is the end all be all to all circumstances, but in most of my research and most of what I've been doing, I have found that a lot of it is due to unaddressed trauma. So you can easily give me a call and I can always do a consult with your organization and we can figure out how I can help.
Okay, and when you also a speaker, so what how do they contact you, or what kind of topics that you talk about when you speak?
Absolutely. So same thing. They can contact me on social media. You can contact me on my phone number, which is 202-684-8048. And I talk on all topics that deal with emotional wellness. I think some of my most signature talks that I've been talking about a lot lately is how to bring trauma informed care into the workplace. I've
Mhm.
talked a lot about stress management. And then I've just done two back-to-back mastermind series, one in June, one in May, and then the other one in June, where I did mastermind series on reducing your negative thinking and then mastering the art of self-care. So those would be signature talks that I talk about all the time. And then I have a brand new model training that I've been doing a lot that people have been in this DC area, at least, have been definitely sort of astounded over. And it's my verbal de-escalation through a trauma-informed lens training that I offer. And this is to help sort of decrease those crisis circumstances from
Yeah.
happening in the workplace, right? You've
Okay.
heard the going postal.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the training I provide is to help people realize how trauma shows up
Yeah.
so that you won't have people going postal
Yeah.
in the workplace. And so I do that training workshop as well. And so speaking, training, consulting, counseling, it's the same way to reach me. Because again, you get me. You don't
Yeah.
get the virtual assistant Susie. You get
Yeah.
me.
You do. Okay. And so on the counseling side, do you do autistic kids as well? Is it do they have to what kind of just depression, or do you do other things besides just on the counseling side?
Yeah, great question. So with kids, I would say unfortunately right now, autism is probably not going to be a primary, although autism is on a spectrum. So let me say this. It probably at the end of the day would depend on where, if it's a child or it could be an adult, it depends on where they are on the spectrum. I haven't hired my staff yet, so those are going to be definitely skill sets that I'm going to be thinking about and looking for. And so I would say, depending on where they are on the spectrum, maybe not. But if they are more on the higher functioning end of autism, yes, for sure. Because with certain levels of or spectrum levels of autism, there are different types of treatment that are usually better in working with those populations. And those are rare folks out there.
Yeah.
I mean, if I luck up and I find someone, absolutely. And then I'm certainly familiar. That's definitely a little bit of work that when I work with kids when I first started out. And so I'm definitely familiar with that. But autism probably won't be primary.
Yeah.
But definitely any child parent issues, behavioral issues when it comes to kids, that's what I see. 9 times out of 10, that's what brings kids to treatment is when parents are like, I need Johnny to stop doing the thing that Johnny keep doing because Johnny getting on my nerves. That's the reason. Then they call and I'm like, okay, let's talk about what little Johnny doing. I'm very, though, when it comes to working with kids, I do want to preface that I am huge on working with the parents. If you're working with the kids, you have to work with the parents. At the end of the day, I'm not going home with these children. I get 1 hour maybe out of a solid week to be with them, and you get the rest of that time. And so my goal is also about sustainability. So I'm going to be able to sort of teach you the same tools and strategies that I'm using so that you can incorporate that in home. In working with adults, again, multitude of circumstances, depression, anxiety, trauma, and maybe even I was going to say there are some other types of things too, like maybe OCD. Those are the types of issues that I'm definitely familiar working with for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then you know how we have the mental illness when we have the police stop people or get called to a home, and then they have mental breakdowns and stuff like that. Do you work with those type of cases as well, or I'm just asking in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think people come to services in many different ways. And so I don't know if I would specify it in that way, but I would say that if you're having a challenge and you feel that your level of functioning used to be on one end and it's just not that way anymore, definitely give us a call. And I think what also would be helpful to know as well is that when people do call, sometimes they don't know what they need. They don't know what they're looking for. And we don't either because we're just getting to know you. And so even if it's not a service that we can provide directly for you, anybody on here in social media who's followed me and maybe you've chatted me or called me, I've always helped connect you to the next best resource. And so if we're not able to provide that resource for you, certainly we'll get you connected to the resource for you. But for sure, people come to us dealing with all types of experiences in terms of what's brought them into needing more help and to deal and manage their mental health. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And are you virtual or do you do in person? Can they do? How do you do your counseling service? Your
Great
consulting?
question. Yeah, so right now it's going to be virtual.
Mhm.
However, there will be some in-person opportunities in the near future, but for right now, it definitely would be virtual. So the other thing I will say that we'll be taking into account is sort of the level of need that people have in their mental health, right? Because we certainly want to make sure that we prioritize safety first. And sometimes virtual may not always be best or ideal for most people. And
Mhm.
sometimes, folks have a preference where they'd rather be able to see and touch and feel their clinician versus just kind of looking them through a computer. And so, but right now it definitely would be virtual just because there is a little bit more of a convenience that way. But not forever. We will definitely go to in person sometime soon in the near future.
Yeah, that way, and then virtual, you can reach people, farther out, not just in your DMW. I keep on saying, what is it? DMW,
DMV,
DMV.
DMV.
I keep on
Hmm.
saying, okay, DMV. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, you can, by virtual, you can reach a wider audience. So if somebody doesn't live in that area, they can also reach out to you and hire you for a counselor and a consultant as well, right?
Well, for counseling, we can only work where we're licensed. And so right now I'm only licensed in the district area. As I
Okay.
hire, though, I'm definitely going to be looking for clinicians who can operate both in DC, Maryland, as well as Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I'm only licensed in DC. For consulting, though, you're absolutely right. That's the other benefit of sort of doing the consulting and being virtual is
Mm-hmm.
that I can reach anybody anywhere.
Okay.
And consulting wise, I'm global. So I don't
Okay.
even work just in the United States. I have
Mm-hmm.
clients that are in the UK
Okay.
that we provide consulting services for all the time. But again, benefit of being virtual. But don't get me wrong, Tina. If somebody say, can you fly to Dubai tomorrow to
Yeah.
do a training? I'm gonna be at
Yes.
BWI airport, okay? I'm gonna be
Okay.
there with my suitcase and ready
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
So, of course, on the consulting side, it's not also just virtual. I will be willing to come to you if you need us to come to you. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Because people can use your services all over. So yeah, I was thinking that's more like I was thinking about the consulting side because
Hmm.
counseling people sometimes they like to go in person, so they will probably be in your area. But the
Right.
consulting part, you can go all over if
Yeah.
you need to.
Yeah.
Especially if they're paying you, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what
Yeah.
happened though, Tina, though, is like COVID changed a lot for so many people. It really
Uh-huh.
did. And I know
Yeah.
it's not everybody's favorite. Some people are like virtual fatigued. Some
Uh-huh.
people are like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I don't want to click on Zoom anymore. I want to be able to see people. And
Yeah.
I get that. But it's also established another level of convenience that people
Yes.
didn't even know existed.
Uh-huh.
And so even though there are some people who would prefer to have in person, there are a number of people who would prefer to be virtual. They want to be in the comfort of their own homes.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be just making sure that they feel relaxed and they feel settled and not feeling like they have to rush to an office. And then I work in DC, and if anybody, my office is actually about 6 blocks from the White House.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
can literally walk. And I'm gonna tell you right now, there are people who will come into session and would be fussing about the parking. And I'm like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
So virtual has just really it changed a lot for us and just allowed us to be a little bit more convenient for people and not have those additional stressors. So
Yeah, that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, that's good because that's more convenient, I think. Then like it's another program that does this virtual only. They do virtual only. They don't do in person. But it's a lady was telling me she was doing seeing a counselor, a virtual assistant, VA, I guess virtual counselor
Hmm.
for her. I didn't know they did that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
virtual or sometimes some groups do phone counseling.
yeah.
I don't do phone counseling, but some do. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've done I've been contracted to work with many different companies where we did phone counseling.
Mm-hmm.
Not my favorite. I do need to see you, even if it's just up here. Just this part. I
Yeah,
do need to see you because those facial expressions and those nonverbals tell you a lot.
yeah,
And sometimes people can say something, but then their facial expression and everything doesn't match it. And it's really important when it comes into play in the work that we do. So yeah.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to think about so anything you can tell anybody that's going through depression or having a crisis right now that could help them and how to reach out to you if that was a need right now
Yeah.
or in
So
the
I would
future.
say again, right now I'm not, offering my counseling services. I am offering my consulting services. But if you are someone who's having a current, challenge, whether it is feeling depressed, feeling anxious, or you don't know what you're feeling, you just know it don't feel right, then that's usually your sign to probably talk to a professional for sure. And so I would say you can call me anyway. I have no problem. I will return your phone call pretty promptly. And my number is 202-684-8048. And I will provide resources and help you get connected to someone, even though I may not be able to provide that direct counseling service for you right now. But I would certainly encourage any and everybody to always, certainly if you feel that you have not been able to overcome whatever it is that you're going through or working through, you have tried to go out for walks, you tried to exercise, you tried to get extra sleep, you tried to eat healthier. None of the things you've tried have worked. That's usually your sign to try something else. And it might be seeing a counselor.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, I do often offer lots of trainings, psychoeducational trainings, and workshops that would be from everybody everywhere. So I would also just encourage you to connect with me through my website, which is wisechoicecounseling.com. And as soon as you click on the website, you'll subscribe. And I always will keep people posted on groups I have coming up, trainings I have coming up. Those things anybody can have access to, and they're equally beneficial. And so I definitely would think that would be my advice to anybody out there who wants some extra support for sure.
Okay. Tell us about your event you're having in August.
Yes. And so for consulting, again, as I mentioned, I work in workplaces to help sort of heal what I say toxic workplace environments. But I also say from a preventive standpoint as well, right? Because I just want leaders to recognize that, you are working with real people. Hence, we treat people as persons. We treat people as persons first. I had to get my finger right the way I was pointing.
Yeah.
And and just understanding that you have to treat your employee like a human being, right? And find a way, still professionally, to be able to work with them. So I have this amazing event coming up in August where I'm going to be talking with educational leaders, property management leaders, as well as HR leaders. I'm going to do a power hour leadership acceleration session, complimentary on the house. And you get an opportunity to just get a taste of a little bit of what I do and what I can offer. And I would just encourage, once again, to you can either call me, or if you follow me on social media, I have all the information there. And you could go through the Linktree site so that you can sign up for it. And August 1st is going to be the date where I'll do the webinar for educational leaders. August 8th, I'll be doing it for property management leaders. And then on August 22nd, I'll be meeting with HR leaders. And you definitely want to subscribe to my website, y'all, because September, I'm going to switch up the industries.
Okay.
And I heard from a little birdie that law enforcement would be one that would be a huge one. And it's definitely a passion of mine as well. So I probably will be offering at least a law enforcement one in September. So pass along the information, share my social media handles, subscribe to the website so you all can stay tuned on that.
Okay, that sounds good. So on the you're gonna be talking to a particular group of people on those days, right?
Yep.
And you'll be asking the questions and they'll be giving you answers. What kind of event, like the power, just questions and answers, and people can come in and listen to see the questions and answers the questions being asked and the answers given, so they'll have knowledge of what you do and what the people that you're interviewing doing, right?
I mean, a combination of both. I'm very engaging when I'm meeting and talking with people. And so it'll be a combination of things. I'm definitely going to provide a lot of information and content that I think is helpful, because no matter what I do, I always want people to feel like they can take something, walk away with it, and actually apply it right away, right? It's nothing worse than going to the conference or going through the training and you get your nice little cute swag bag and
Yeah.
you went through all these hours of trainings, you got all these PowerPoint presentations, and then you go back to your desk and then you didn't do nothing with it, right?
Yeah.
So I always try to give people tangible tools, information that they can take away with them. So I definitely want to make sure I have time to get the content, but there certainly will be a Q&A portion to that so that folks can ask whatever questions that they want. And that's why it's also good that I'm doing this per sort of industry on each one of those dates in August, because I want the educational leaders to feel like they're going to be in a room of their peers, and they can ask me specific questions about how does this work in their industry, or how does this apply in their industry, or how can I help their industry. And I do have a good background also in working with school systems. And so I'm really excited about the educational leaders one coming up on August 1st. I'm excited about all of them, but I
Yeah.
definitely have
Yes.
had my fair share of stories to tell working in school systems. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited about talking to them about what I can offer.
Well, okay. Yeah. Because they be stressed sometimes too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you heard this statistic, Tina, but I was just reading something the other day, and they said teachers and nurses by 2027, there will be hundreds of thousands of them leaving the field. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that is
That's
that is pretty
alarming.
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, for our teacher, I mean, especially our nurses, but for our teachers, I don't want them leaving the field.
Yeah.
Because during COVID, I did not sign up to be a teacher. And I was
And
like, this is why I did not choose that profession. I need a teacher to be here to do this, right?
yeah.
So we don't want our teachers, and we definitely don't want our nurses to be leaving the field, but that is exactly what's happening. They are burnt out,
Yes.
overworked, overwhelmed, and the pay don't match it or support it. So that just kind of makes matters worse. But again, that's why I'm really hoping that if you all out there know any other educational leaders, property management leaders, people in HR who could really benefit from hearing about how I can help improve and accelerate their leadership and really just improve the workplace, you'd want to tell them about my power hour sessions I have coming up in August.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spread the word, because that is important. That everybody needs that, especially in the working on a job, or
Mm-hmm.
even the teachers. Even they be stressed sometimes, and some of those kids are not like they used to be. So
No. Mm-mm.
yes.
I mean, of course, I believe, Tina, that I was a model student, and that I
Yeah.
was great, but then
Yeah.
I'm looking at my own child like, oh my goodness, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's a different generation
Yeah.
of children that we're dealing with today, and
Yeah.
it makes it even more hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So can you give some final remarks before we leave, that you would like to share with the audience?
Sure, absolutely. So, for one, again, if you are hopeful that you all can follow me on social media on Facebook, I'm at Wise Choice LLC. On Instagram, I'm on Wise underscore Choice LLC. And then if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, I'm at Wise Choice LLC. And I'm sorry, y'all, somebody got me on Instagram, so I had to put the little underscore in there so that I can keep the name.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you follow me on there, I post every day, talk about things that I have going on. I always give helpful tips and strategies and tools, and trying to meet, the many different sort of layers of my followers. And definitely subscribe to my website, wisechoicecounseling.com, so you can, again, stay tuned that way to all the things that I have going on. And I guess my final words and thoughts for you all is that I just want you to take care of you. I know that you hear that a lot, and you've probably heard it a whole lot, especially during COVID, because that was the time where people really kind of recognized as a society that this was something that was globally impacting the world, and we were really feeling it. There was no way to escape it, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what phase we're in right now. I don't know if they gave it a name. I don't know if we're at the end of COVID. I don't know if we're post COVID. I don't know where we are. But
Yes.
I just encourage you to take care of you, because no matter what, you don't know when the next thing is going to be. In fact, there always will be something, right? We're
Yeah.
stressed.
Yeah.
There's always going to be work. There's always going to be struggles. There's always going to be challenges. And so at the end of the day, just take care of you. And if you want some more help on how to take care of you, then I will be offering that Mastering Self Care workshop actually on July 14th. I have a crew in Pakistan who reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Yes, and so I'll be offering a webinar virtually on mastering the art of self-care there on July 14th. And so just follow me on social media, y'all. I know it was a lot of things. I always got a lot of things going on, because
Yes.
I'm definitely trying to make sure that I stay tuned in and plugged into you all, so I can continue to offer you all this helpful, great advice.
Yes. Well, I thank you for coming on the show. I hope it was give you a chance to get your tell your information, and people get to know you and actually follow you. Y'all follow her. We're on each of her social medias and connect, because she is a wonderful consultant and counselor. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Tina. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.